She said she will. She's probably.
Friday, I didn't see him. Maybe not on this week.
No, Steve said the sun was coming up, so, and it's on the stage out
Why does the state do that? They're not state employees. It's not a state road.
Or is the state working on it?
Yeah, 10 is the ones they're trying to check.
I'm gonna say something.
I saw the signs, that's why I tried to come around and form
Maybe
it.
they'll- State
I saw it, I don't know why.
Did we sub it out?
No, not that I know, I don't know why.
It's not a state.
There's another
road.
thing we're speaking too, I forget what it is.
Well, it's blue, I did Krebs.
It might be Krebs. Yeah, Carolyn saw, or Steve saw it, it might be Krebs. Yes. No, it might be, I don't know, that's supposed to be on Thursday.
I spend half my day doing that.
That's what it is.
All right, we're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you have time to read the books. Does anybody have any corrections? Got your name right? Got your name right?
I never checked that, but it all read good.
Minutes are approved as read. Any public comment?
I just have a question. It's been a while since
I know, where have you been?
some family illnesses.
Welcome back.
Thank you, thank you. So I understand that he has decided not to come back.
John's term was up and he chose not to.
Okay, so is he gonna be replaced with someone?
We'll be talking about that, yeah, I have to take, the supervisors are the ones that kind of
Yeah, that's what I thought. They nominate someone, right? Okay.
appoint, yes.
I'm a a little behind. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for filling.
So we haven't done it, like last time we advertised, so I'm assuming that's what we'll do again,
Okay,
and get applicants in.
thank you.
You forgot to ask if anybody was recording.
Oh, is anyone recording?
Yeah, but I don't
Sorry.
think you, I
Thank
don't
you.
think you have to even ask that anymore.
More of a formality.
I think it really is.
Any other public comment?
I do have, not comment, but a question. When we start working more on improving this data center ordinance, are you thinking of doing group work sessions with the supervisors?
Nothing's been brought to my attention yet, Carolyn.
Because I would suggest that, and maybe invite Jim Morris, seeing how he is your county planning commission plus our past chairman, so for the planning commission. Invite him to anything, maybe he can give us more insight on it.
Just haven't been instructed where that's at, or
It's just one of them.
anything else? All right, then Carolyn?
Just me, the same old, the tax maps and the building rights, and the definition of track, which was a little concerning. It got to the Board of Supervisors with nobody really realizing the definition had changed. The saldo still is not on the York County Planning Commission's agenda, even though it was approved to go to them last month. And my question really with the building rights when it comes down to the definition of track, is that just to determine building rights? Or is that saying that those two contiguous tracts could not be sold individually? That has never been, and I don't see how you can move forward with anything without making that decision. It was suggested once before, it's a zoning thing. Take it to the zoning hearing board. I mean, I don't know how the planning commission can make any kind of judgments on building rights if you don't know how the definition of tract is interpreted.
Okay. Any comment? Anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're gonna kind of fight that on the next one, but
Yeah, I think there's gonna be some changes, Caroline, we're gonna discuss some things, and there will be changes. Some will like and some may not like, but as a planning commission, looking at ordinances that have become outdated, there will be some changes that we're going to discuss.
All due respect, the last changes were done at literally private meetings. Nothing was ever discussed here in the changes of the saldo. So are we going to go along those same lines that nothing is discussed in a meeting?
I really don't know what you're asking or saying, Caroline.
Okay,
The
you
meeting-
met with Jessica from CS
Right, and we
Davidson all summer. Never once came back except at the end of December to,
Jessica came in and went over the changes.
in December, but you met all summer, didn't give any type of updates. Plus the fact, again, the definition of tract was simply said nothing has changed. Something did change.
Okay, but that's
well, I
what.
thought we talked about that the definition did change slightly when we were sitting here, because I read it.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
And my question was to the supervisors, yeah, you took out adverse and put in subdivided, but there was a whole nother verbiage at the end that could have changed that definition completely and how it was interpreted.
Was that after we read it?
No, you read
Didn't
it.
they
You
change
read
back,
it,
or
and then
what's
I
that?
went home and
Okay.
looked at what was given to me, what was supposed to
But
be
again,
put.
the way we changed it then is what is in the salad.
I don't know.
We're going to pursue probably some other changes.
But so is the saldo not going to the planning commission? It
I'm
was-
gonna have to double check on where
See, that I
it
don't
stands, I
know
don't know.
about
I'll double check, I mean, I thought it got sent over. I'll follow up
You're
with
just
that.
saying it's not on the agenda.
Right.
It could very well be there.
But it was voted in 2 months ago,
I will follow up
and
and see
they
where
only
they are
have so
at with
many
that.
days to review it and get back.
I will follow up with the planning commission and see where they're at with it.
And was that additional verbiage taken?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Now we're up to the closed subdivision.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Patty Fisher from James Hawley and Associates. And we were having a discussion last time I was here about the parcels, and I just need to know how to move forward with this plan.
So have you researched the dwelling rights that go with those properties?
I sent them everything immediately the next day to the engineer and to the township. And I'm not sure what the issue is. Just have it here.
that's what
So-
we're questioning.
I think there are a number of issues with respect to the definition of parcel and tract. And the big thing that needs to be determined is whether or not this is a bit unique, I think, in that the proposed subdivision, correct me if I'm wrong, the acreage is not an issue, correct?
Correct.
We already determined that last month. So it's an acre or less. And in this case, it is a dwelling already exists on the proposed lot to be subdivided. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Because of that, there's no transfer, am I correct that there's no transfer of dwelling units associated with this?
What you mean, somebody is going to purchase that and it will be transferred to somebody else,
Yeah,
but
the-
it's
At the
not,
time it was built.
But yeah, so at the time that the 74 ordinance was passed, there were dwelling units that were assigned to various parcels. Excuse me. And I think that so long as it is determined by the planning commission that there have not been, that the property as it existed at the time of the 74 ordinance, as long as there have not been transfers of excessive dwelling units from that parcel, then, in other words, as long as there's two remaining, then this should not be a problem.
So these were both owned by the same people before 74, at
Okay.
least from what I saw.
okay, so parcel 10, which is the parcel we're subdivided, was deeded to closes in 1964.
Okay,
How about 9?
And 9 was deeded to them in 1967.
yeah, so they would both come together, so that would then be 5.
Okay, so what our ordinance states at this point is this 10 being 114 acres and this 9 being 50 whatever acres, the combination of those two put together comes up that there would be 5 dwelling rights. And you only have 4 listed on here.
Okay.
Now, in question is, these came off of 9, so there's 2. Over there is one that came off of 10. You have a farmhouse here for 4. So there should still be 1 remaining, however, you only reference that there's only 4 permitted.
Okay. Well, I was not understanding about whether the parcels, you were saying the parcels may have to be put together and maybe have dwelling rights, but what I'm reading with the section of the ordinance that they are, which the comment was on, just had to do with having, you could transfer dwelling rights from one parcel to another if they were contiguous.
I'm not sure if that's necessary though.
But I don't see, where does it state that if they are the same? Okay, the reference that they're showing me is that D1, and it says in the event of two or more parcels in common ownership and are contiguous to one another, the owners may transfer the right to construct or erect dwelling units as provided by 250-16A of this chapter.
My comment was related to this. This adjacent property is common ownership.
Correct.
To this. So the question I had was, and I didn't know what the site that I make is the only one that I can logically make without citing definition. But the definition that we were just actually started the meeting with is the definition says when you own this property and this property, now they become one property.
But this one-
And that's,
this one
this one's not being shown in its totality, and nor is it being represented in terms of its development rights.
And that's what you were giving me the.
And that's
the
what I
note
said.
on.
So my suggestion was, you're not changing this property in any way, shape, or form. If you put a note on the plan saying there is no substantial change to this property, nor does it have any impact on this property, it prevents them from having to go to the trouble of showing the expanse of that property on this plan.
When did they buy this one?
That's, I don't know. That's.
Again, that property was,
Is that on my note that I made?
that
I don't think it went back that far.
parcel 10 was transferred
At the very bottom
in
one.
64 and parcel 9 was 67.
67. what if, oh, this is part of 9.
I think it's the very bottom one that I've written.
This says 67, June.
So there was nothing previous to 2018,
What
so
number
we're
is
not
this?
sure when they actually purchased it.
That's 9B.
It's this one down here. Yeah.
And this
The
one,
79
the one we're
acres.
subdividing is 10.
And I
Nine-
looked,
nine
I looked
feet,
all around
52
these
acres.
ones.
But that's all part of
There's one, Brenda, there's a printout of it somewhere that I have, the color ones I printed.
this. Yeah.
This one is
I
in the
looked
boundary.
at
is
some of
parcel
those, so the
10,
ones that
one
looked like
would
they
be
might have been
parcel.
subdivided, and
This
they
one
weren't
below
off of
is
that,
nine.
so
Nine,
I'm
right.
not sure where they
The
came from.
9 came off before 72,
Correct.
or 74.
I
Correct.
think it's that one.
This
Okay.
is the,
I mean, it was never part of that parcel. It came from they came from different
But
owners.
the way the
But-
definition of the, again, I'm not saying the ordinance is legal or not. I'm simply saying it's the ordinance. And the ordinance doesn't differentiate subdivision. It simply says as long as it states a common ownership, they're not subdivided.
Yeah, so like, in other words,
That's the one that's in
that
behind.
regardless of when this came off, regardless of how it was subdivided, because it is contiguous, because it was owned by the same owner in 1974, it gets lumped into the total parcel, which is defined as all tracts contiguous at the time of the passage.
Now, Andy, how does
Yeah.
that make a difference? Part of it's in Manheim?
part of this one is in Manheim Township.
Does that play into a factor of it as well?
Let me see how much of it is in
Brandon
Manheim.
brought it up, it's like,
Is it primarily in Manheim?
Now, this parcel
Yes,
that they own
Manheim.
over here is
PA.
primarily in Manheim Township.
No, it's
Which is
9.
Pennsylvania.
Is 9 in primarily in Manheim Township?
One that's not shown,
what,
yes.
yeah, when it's not shown. 'cause
Oh, well then I think that I'm not sure that gets, I'm not sure that can be analyzed for these purposes, and
I would not
do you-
say that
do you
it's
agree that
primarily
The
Manheim
portion that's in the
Township.
township is subject to the township rules and regulations.
Say that again, Jeff?
The portion that of 9, we're gonna call it 9, the portion of 9 that's in the township is still subject to your regulations, okay? But where it gets gray is that the question is, do you count all of 9 when you're calculating dwelling rights
Right.
in terms of the acreage? I would argue, and I've heard it interpreted,
9B is over here. It is entirely in
I've heard it
your
interpreted.
township.
We got 3 conversations going on, I wanna make sure that we're not overlapping each other.
You're looking at the wrong
26.
parcel.
Here, this is 26.
Here, these are our 2 parcels here. That
Right,
you're
yeah.
looking at, and they are both in Codorus Township.
These two?
Township.
But this one is not.
This is all one parcel.
Correct, yeah.
This is all one parcel right here, which is the bold outline.
Mhm.
That's parcel 10. 9A, or 9B is below down here, which she said, the one that's partially, or for the most part in Manheim Township is this one.
Yeah, 26.
Yeah, 26 is
we're
that
not.
one.
That one's
Has
over here.
anything ever,
This one could still be.
has anything ever come off of here?
Yes. That's where.
These two
came
have
off
came
of
from
9.
this.
And this one here came off of 10, correct?
Correct.
So like it's 1, 2, 3, the farmhouse. So there would be 5.
Yeah.
And they're allowed.
So that would be the last one, there would be no additional
Right, there would be
after
no-
this.
After this, but there are 5 dwelling rights assigned to 160.
Uh,
So then would that be considered, they would have to sell, if they ever decided to sell, they would have to sell both of them together because they're contiguous, correct? Or no?
They are different parcels, and your county planning commission would not look at that as.
Your
So
question
as
your question
singular
is very
parcel.
valid, and the reason that I have concern of your ordinance
Because of,
is that technically, yes, you could sell them separately, they're separate deeds. Your ordinance does not recognize them as separate properties.
So what would happen if they decided to sell one and not the other?
They would be able to do it, and that's in contrary to your ordinance. So when they bring plans in before you for approval, you treat them as one property. if they don't come before you, they can sell off property, because any lawyer, I think, is going to say, yeah, it's a separate deed.
As long as it has a separate parcel number also, York County Planning Commission look at that as a separate property.
So as far as approving the subdivision plans in this one, it goes under the number of dwelling rights. As far as the subdivision plan.
I think that, yes.
The reason for my comment was simply to say, I think we ought to recognize that adjacent property owner in some fashion relative to the ordinance. And the only way I can know to do that is with a note at this point, which is why I suggested the Patty should do.
The proposed subdivision is staying in common ownership.
It is, at the moment.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
At the
Yeah, that lot is going to be sold. There's somebody renting that property, I believe, at this moment who wants to purchase it. So
Yeah, I'm
that's
not
that 1
concerned
acre.
with that lot. I'm concerned
With
with
the
the
overall
parent tract.
lot is staying,
Codorus Township does not recognize the subdivision as you're showing it on this plan, is what I'm trying to say, because of their ordinance. If we were to follow the letter of the ordinance as I understand it, you would have to show that adjacent property in its totality and eliminate the lot line between that property and the one that you're subdividing. I mean, that's how the definitions read.
So this, because you keep saying parcel, which is understood. Really, I think what you're saying is lot. Okay, so these are lots.
or they are parcels, according to YCPC, they are given
Understood.
parcel numbers.
But this does not have a
Understood.
separate parcel
Understood.
number.
That does not now, but it
Correct.
will, once it is
York County's
subdivided.
gonna recognize them as separate.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is
Yeah.
that if you look at the ordinance and the way they define parcel, they are not differentiating them as separate parcels.
Because parcel is all contiguous land owned by the same landowner, and all land owned by the same landowner that is contiguous except for the presence of a public or private road. So even if there's a road running down through, it's still considered contiguous, except for the presence of a public or private road. The presence of lots or parcels adverse from the original tract and/or by utility rights-of-way, irrespective of whether the right-of-way is owned in fee or as an easement. So to Jeff's point, all of this contiguous land gets treated as though it's a singular parcel from a definition within this, but to your point, parcel is defined differently by YCPC.
But I'm a little confused now yet myself, because if I have a 100-acre farm here and I have 3 dwelling rights, I can subdivide 3 1-acre lots off of that.
You sure can.
Yes.
And as long as you don't sell them, then I don't know how they don't, you're gonna have 3 parcels per your subdivision plan, but the ordinance, as long as they're still under the same ownership, is going to see it as 1 parcel. That's the crazy
How many
part of
times has
this.
that happened in here?
That's what I'm trying to get to.
God only knows.
Okay, so for this
But-
particular
So,
panel,
I believe that based on what I have seen from this, that there are sufficient dwelling rights to permit the
subdivision.
I believe this is the
That's
last
never,
one,
that's never been my
correct?
issue. That's
Yes.
not.
This is
point
the
of it.
final dwelling
Yes.
right to this,
Okay, so I will need
Property.
to adjust the parcel history to 5 and the 5 being used. as-
I would suggest you adjust the parcel history and then identify where all of where all the TDRs went, where the development rights went on the plan, so that we don't not trying to play guesswork on this. But then I also suggest that note be added, but we do need to address this, because honestly, as long as I've been coming to Codorus, this has been an issue.
Well, Jeff, okay, so I have a 100-acre farm and I have 3 dwelling rights and I subdivide them off and I can't do anything with them anyhow? I mean, that was the whole purpose of dwelling rights, is dwelling rights.
So you did something with them. I'm simply saying if you never transfer them out of
But
the
I am, I
name,
want to sell them, that's why I subdivided them
You can
off.
sell them. You have every right to sell them. What I'm saying is, when you bring the next plan in, we're going to say to you, that's all 1 parcel, even though you had a subdivision plan. I mean, that's by way of your ordinance, that's the riddle here that we have.
so for this, so we can, so think we can do this conversation after this, right? So, are we all in agreement? We think there's 5, this will be the 5th? And then you'd like the note added to the bottom? And then all the lots identified that are being used?
And the barn is staying with the main farm property, which satisfies the requirements of the township. Yes.
Yes, that's,
Okay. And it's not over one, how many acres is it
This
again?
is one, isn't
One,
it?
like,
Right at one, wasn't it?
right at one, I
I think it was
thought.
just a tad over one.
Was it a tad
It wasn't much.
1 acre.
Yeah, I thought too, it's just,
And this one is different than the one we had a couple months ago in that this one has the primary they have 2 primary dwellings, which the one a couple months ago did not, and they were trying to carve off the farm buildings.
yes.
Yes,
That's what.
that is correct. The heart and
Right,
soul.
yeah.
Well, I mean, from everything I looked at online, I believe there's 5.
Okay, that's,
This will be the last one.
do we have her bring that back to us with all the corrections before we do any motion on it? Or
I think you can conditionally approve it.
we can conditionally approve it?
I would.
And I did, if you would like to look, I changed, I put, I did, but they're not showing up, never mind. I did add the contours, and I did fix the Broadbeck Road issue, the spelling.
Okay.
I did do those 2 items.
Maybe you just need to have the other stuff done before the supervisor signs.
Yeah, correct, yeah.
We don't have to sign anything to
Yeah, we can sign.
We can sign.
I'm
I
not
was
ready
gonna
for
say,
signatures.
she's gonna have to bring it with.
Okay.
I need to have, I still have the,
Overlap.
yeah, I have to fix the cover sheet before anybody signs.
Okay, then, is there a motion to approve the closed subdivision plan with the corrections that need to be made?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, give their consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
You can put that in the binder. Put it in the binder. Put it in here. That's my binder of notes.
Oh. Kind of really cool.
I'll give it back to you, I think.
I'll put them back. Put them in the binder.
Okay, I was gonna
Okay,
say,
and you have the non-building waiver. I had left that here last time,
you do have that?
It was
Oh,
right there. It is.
Okay, I have it.
So that needs to be signed and moved forward, I guess, to the, I don't know if somebody from Board of Supervisors needs to sign, or just the secretary needs to sign. But
Yeah.
that can be handled then.
So is it just my signature from one?
It,
Just a planning agency official? Is that for supervisors?
typically, I think supervisors do it.
Yes.
Everybody can, but
Everybody can.
yeah. I think we've done it both ways here, but I would just leave it for the supervisors.
Okay.
Mostly I
Municipal
see the-
secretary, and then
Yeah.
probably the supervisors would sign the thing.
You can put your signature on it, Lily.
And then we just pass that on to the supervisors. And
We will do that.
okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right. Do you want to talk about?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Trey.
Do we need to make a motion to add something to the agenda? No, we're good.
Can we talk about something? Do we need to amend the agenda?
I think if it's just a discussion, I think
Yeah,
it's okay.
I
There's
mean,
not
I
gonna be any
think we
formal
should-
action. There's not gonna be any formal action, so I'm okay with it.
This whole 1974 voting rights issue, we gotta get somewhere with it. I understand changing it now isn't helping anything that's happened in this township in the past, but we gotta make these easier moving, not easier, but cleaner moving forward, in my opinion.
I mean, the amount of time I looked online just at this past one, and not that the time isn't valuable, I don't mind doing it, but there's no clear definition of where the transfer of ownership came from.
Or just the fact that it's contradictory to, like Jeff was saying, to York County Planning Commission and selling land. It's just, it's I think we all can agree it's a nightmare.
So this is the question, how do we go about making the change, or what do we need to do as a planning commission, or what can we do as a planning commission to?
I know we've talked about the huge saldo change, but we need to start, until that's entirely done, I think we need to at least pick away at this and fix this issue. Now, what that snowballs into something else, I know it's going to, but we have to at least move forward with something.
The question that I have is, and maybe you know the answer to this, although I don't expect you to. I think that Jessica is planning to move forward with a zoning update upon completion of the Saldo update. Now,
That's the direction of the township.
yeah, but I think that that was the general next step.
Do we know a time frame?
No, I mean, and this is all, again, this, you know, as I said to you, Trey, it's policy, okay? You know, it is a policy decision of the township. How they, you know, what they want to do. What you want to do, what the supervisors want to do.
As far as making changes, or as, okay.
What I would suggest to you is what I've seen happen is that as a planning commission, you recommend to the board that you believe that these changes should be investigated and that there should be direction given from the board as to how you interact with those changes. Because that's a decision the board should be making.
Yeah, that, you know, again, this township has frequently seen ordinances sort of percolate from this body up to the board. And sometimes we've spent a lot of time at this body and never gotten it past this body. Other times we've spent a lot of time at this body and never gotten it past the board. So, you know, I don't think that some coordination I think would be worthwhile, so that you guys aren't spinning your wheels with something that is not, that is sort of a non-starter at the supervisors and vice versa.
So kind of like I had to do when we started the Saldo changes.
Yeah.
Go to a supervisor meeting, ask
Yeah.
them, recommending what we want to do and see if we have
I think
their
that's-
back.
Right.
Or
It's
they
the
have
sa-
our
I
back.
gave you that advice then, it's the same advice I'm giving you now.
Okay, so let's say that they say, yeah, well, they'll support us. Then what's the next step?
It's up to you guys. I mean, you know, to the point that was made earlier tonight, you have the right to contract with anyone to help you make changes. You have the right to create commissions or groups to try to work with those changes, but to take action on those changes, it has to come before the public. The public doesn't have to be involved in those changes, or you can make them involved in it. It's up to you. It's literally up to the supervisors.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Was the 1974 ordinance wasn't just for Codorus Township, is that correct? It was-
Well,
it was-
Pretty much,
No, well, so in the 70s you started to see
the development.
zoning
It was-
come into play.
Correct.
Okay, zoning wasn't a thing much before
No,
the
I'm
70s.
saying this particular ordinance
What?
was designed to protect ag.
It was
In
designed
many
to.
townships, I know some of them are changing them, but
Ma-
it's not just.
There are each one is its own ordinance. Okay, you know, Codorus Township is ordinance is not Chanceford's ordinance, but if you go to Chanceford, or Lower Chanceford, I should say, at least I know, you will see a lot of similarities. Okay, because they were written by a solicitor. And a lot of similarities exist.
Have they changed theirs since?
I don't know.
since
So my question is, just along those lines, the object was to protect ag. So if you're going to change it, you need to be very, very careful. Because I know of other townships that have changed their ordinance even as early as this year. Because they want more development.
But that's not the intent here. The
Yeah.
intent-
I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
The intent is that if there's continuous land owned by a single property owner, it can indeed be sold without selling both parcels that are together. Now, that doesn't give them any more dwelling rights.
No, I
Right?
understand, I understand
We're not-
completely what you're saying.
To your point, here's the.
Because what you're saying is true, and what you're saying that people want is true, but the ordinance and the York County they're not the same. But our purpose, go ahead.
York County Planning Commission only reviews their ordinance. Your ordinance is a standalone ordinance, it's only for Codorus Township. The date that is in there of 1974 was established because they had to create a baseline to say, at this point, these properties are how we're going to determine how many development rights you have. That's the baseline. The tricky part here is to figure out, to be able to create a database of what 74 looked like, how many development units were associated with each property, and then track them forward.
But you have that, you have the maps.
I agree, you can do that. I'm answering your question about the ordinance. When you change the ordinance, you're gonna try to keep that baseline set at 74. The discussion we're having earlier today is the fact that there's a clause in there that I have a problem with that says, not about 74, but it says, then it added this thing that said contiguous properties are considered one. That flies in the face of everything we're trying, that is real in the way of
No, I
how
agree.
transfer of property occurs.
I agree.
That has to change.
I agree with that. I agree that this is a nightmare and people are affected by the sale or the inability, just to talk about this, what you're talking about. She can do that, but if she goes to get any kind of a permit, then the zoning officer can come in and take her permits away or not give her permits. So, she isn't aware of that, but that's what happens, is when you say it's an illegal subdivision based on what Codorus Township says, you can sell it all you want, but what's gonna happen when our zoning officer goes in there and says this is an illegal subdivision based on the ordinance? So I just think you need to use great caution in how you, I agree with you, Jeff. What you're saying is very, very valid as far as.
The baseline can't change, okay? If you change the baseline, you're gonna have a million people that are screaming because they treasured these dwelling rights, and now all of a sudden you're gonna reset that. You can't do that. That's not, that flies in the
Like I
face.
said, on my parcel, it was originally 3 tracts. I have 1 dwelling unit, but my original parcel was 3 different tracts. So, I could be screaming with everybody else, I want my three tracts back. So I think you just need to really consider what you're doing to prevent it just getting worse.
I think that's what would be.
Trey, you're just talking about the properties that are, that's what you're talking about, right?
Continuous.
Correct, yeah.
Continuous.
And how many other townships do you work in that have this ordinance?
Do I work in?
How many other townships do you
I work in like 8 different townships.
do any of them have this wordage in their ordinance?
No.
Where's-
None of them have this kind of de facto melding properties together.
Right.
A lot of them have development rights, and everyone does that differently.
That's what I'm,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
the 374, 2 property zone. And I was always under the assumption that the township gave me the opportunity to, and I was told I was wrong. I thought that the township said, okay, we're gonna create an ordinance. And now, if you want them to be separate, now's the time to speak. But that wasn't the case. They didn't even give the property owner the option for that.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you how this really started, Jason. It was when Vernon Masmer bought up all that land and started putting the houses up. And as the board that sat here then said, whoa, we're not gonna let all these farms get developed. And that was the start of taking anyone who owned the properties continuous, assigning them.
Because he bought the farms.
That's all those
pulled all the
houses,
lots
all
off
those
of them.
houses are Vernon and El Mesa. And that was the start of it, in all honesty. That's when everybody said, whoa, we don't want that.
And that's what doesn't, with the zoning, you would think that those areas would be zoned rural residential, but they're not.
It was before zoning.
So I will say
Before
that
zoning.
I knew Lower Chelmsford was similar. Parcel shall mean all contiguous land owned by the same owner or owners of the date of the
I
proposed
know.
transfer of land shall be considered contiguous even though separated by public or private roads. So it's similar. It's not identical, but it's similar.
And that was made at the beginning of their ordinance? That was,
This goes back to 64.
Goes back to 64.
That's, yeah, June 15th,
so
16th.
now moving forward, we don't have that problem. If you buy a piece of ground and you buy a piece of ground beside it, they don't become one.
They do, based on your ordinance right now.
They still do because they're still now owned by
They do.
the same people.
Oh, wait, what? No,
No.
say it again.
So if I buy my neighbor's farm, our farms don't become one.
No,
I
no.
think Jeff's kind of saying.
I guess because.
It was as of
It's-
1970.
Yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
Sorry.
because it was as of
If you-
That's
1970.
pre-1974.
Right, you're right, I'm sorry, yes.
That's why I was asking about Lower
You're
Chancellor.
right, you're right.
That was pre-64.
So Brenda, to that point, I think you and I were having a conversation earlier. If I subdivide 3 lots off, now they're subdivided, now they stand. But if they just happen to be next to each other since 1974 in common ownership, and they're considered one parcel. And the trouble here is that, I mean, we can do it, but every engineer or surveyor that comes in here from any other part of your county is not going to understand the way your ordinance is written. It's really unique, except for a couple southern townships down this way that all have Gil Malone as their attorney, right? So, I mean, I'm going to say it, that's the author of this. So, that's the problem here, and as long as I understand it and can review this for you, then we can dig into the ownership, tracing it backwards to 74, but it just makes it really burdensome for anyone, and quite frankly, I think it's disingenuous to a certain extent.
Can I say something? Nobody knows this better than my family. Nobody. Gil Malone didn't write that ordinance alone. Your county planning commission, there's a whole pamphlet on it, protecting rural Pennsylvania. They're starting to adopt this same ordinance all the way up through. I've seen one in Harrisburg, because they're all trying to protect the ag through zoning, not through but through zoning. And I just want to assure everybody, because through an email, I found out that some of the concern is that somehow the Bucks are going to sue if you make any changes. There were several conversations in the Saldo that included a discussion about our property without us being involved, which is a little upsetting. We're not going to sue. In 1974, if you look back at the meeting minutes, this room was filled with a lot of people that were upset when you join those farms together for what they assumed were for building rights. But later down the road, you're telling them they can't sell. Ours was one of them. George Williams was one. Gary Gladfelder was one.
There's some out.
Titus Bortner was one. You benefited from at least 2 people who could not sell. So now you're saying they could have sold, but would have been in violation of the subdivision ordinance.
What
I
I'm
mean, I don't understand
What I'm
because,
saying is if you had 2 separate deeds, your ordinance claims they are combined and require subdivision. If you took those 2 deeds, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, if you took those 2 deeds to Harrisburg, didn't know anything about Codorus Township, they're going to permit that transfer of property to someone else, because they're not going to know about your ordinance here.
okay,
Ordinances only apply when you, and that's why you have to record subdivisions to be able to transfer land. But what I'm saying is if you didn't have to do a subdivision, which the rest of the world would not see 2 deeds requiring a subdivision, you could sell, okay? Now, Codorus Township could theoretically, I guess, take the issue with that, and I think that has happened in the past, by saying it's violating our ordinance. And I just want to, the other thing I want to be clear on, the part that development rights is not a new thing, and it is absolutely all over Pennsylvania and beyond. The piece that I'm finding fault with is the idea that you're combining property that is on separate deeds. That's the
So,
only piece.
no one can agree with.
So Carolyn,
Well, I'm talking to Jen.
you're right, go ahead.
In our situation, the township claimed that our parcels were recorded together. There was no recording.
Carol, I have no idea, I don't know anything about your history, and I don't want to sit here and do
No,
that.
I'm not,
I really don't.
no, I'm not. The thing is, moving forward with this, if you're going to use our property as an example, I would like to be included in that.
Carolyn, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
So, and that's just it, and nobody understands the fight that, first we're told you can't sell, you're joined, and then they were allowed to sell without ramification. So that's where we're headed. You first tell somebody they can't sell because they're contiguous parcels.
Okay, we'll deal with that as we get to it, Carolyn.
But
we just-
nobody's, the point I'm trying to make, you're not gonna get any grief from us. We settled ours.
we're not,
So
we're
you're
not-
worried about getting grief for changing something.
I'm not worried about getting grief from you. I'm worried about, not worried, I just want everyone to understand, if we're gonna make changes moving forward, I don't care about the past. Like,
But you
we-
have to.
We can't, we gotta move
I mean,
forward.
Well,
you have to
we're-
care about the people
okay.
who are living, still living in that
I get that,
place.
okay, but the grief for stuff that happened in the past, we need to move forward and we need to make changes that make this better, okay? I can't help you for what happened in the past.
I'm
I can't
not
help
asking
anyone
for
else.
that. What I'm saying.
So why even,
Well, here's my question. Why is this so difficult? I don't understand why it's so difficult. It wasn't difficult for years. It was simply how it was.
We want
So
to
now,
change.
all of
We
a
want to
sudden.
change.
this rule
What?
being difficult, is that what you're referring to?
Yeah, why is it difficult? It was easily explained to everybody when they walked in here. It wasn't until this board simply, A, got rid of Gil Malone, and then simply started
Way before.
allowing.
I think as the board, we're just needing to make some changes, and that's what we want to do, Carolyn. That's the end of that subject for now. Any other comments? Clerk.
I guess, I'm just really confused as to how this whole contiguous tract holds water when the township's the only one that recognizes these tracts as contiguous. If you print out a map, York County, Harrisburg, nobody else recognizes them as contiguous but us. So how does this whole contiguous thing even hold up? I don't understand.
That's what Jeff said.
From a property transfer standpoint, no recorder of deeds, no other outside governmental agency is going to really see any issue. It's all from within the approval of the subdivision, all within this body.
It's your
This
ordinance.
township, I should say, not just this body, but this
It's
township.
the zoning,
It's
the
the
ordinances
zoning.
are the zoning laws of Codorus. So if the zoning laws of Codorus are whatever they are,
You
a
have to
burn
uphold.
ban, whatever they are, the zoning officer has the right to enforce them, whether it's the law of the land or not. They can enforce our zoning laws, correct?
It impacts building permits, and it impacts development of property that meets this definition. They're the two things that it impacts. If you were to go, if Andy and I agreed that he was gonna buy one of the deeds, I had two deeds that were contiguous in Codorus Township, and I said to Andy, I'm gonna sell you one of my properties. I sold it to him, and then I decided I wanted to subdivide my property. It would be a non-issue because on the subdivision plan, it would show that he's the owner of the adjacent property owner. Okay, but if I didn't sell to him and I had these two properties and I wanted to subdivide one of them, now it becomes an issue because you're bringing that plan in and I'm gonna pick it up as a comment. I mean, that's the best way I can explain it. It's that simple, right? So it only applies when you're dealing with the rules and regulations within the township.
So that's the whole point of the definition of track.
Right.
So if the definition of track is simply, that was my question at the beginning, is the definition of track simply to determine building rights, or is it to say that those contiguous parcels are one?
It's both.
Okay,
Both.
so, and if that's how it's determined, my question is, why is that so difficult? And now,
It's not difficult, but I think
It's
it's
a
more than
process we have to go
questioning it now because it is very unique. And
the
you-
one thing an attorney did tell me, that part of the ordinance had never been challenged. We wanted to challenge it, but the track sold before we were allowed. So that's what I'm saying. Instead of going through this whole thing, take it to the zoning hearing board. Why can't, it's a zoning issue. It's zoning. And the zoning hearing board is your top dog for all zoning. They have the final say. So instead of dragging this all out, take your case to the zoning hearing board. The board of supervisors puts in their opinion, you put in your opinion, and the zoning hearing board makes a decision. If
That is
anybody
a,
wants.
substantivity challenges are a thing.
And if anybody wants to challenge it, they take it to your county. It ends at the zoning hearing board. Anybody can show up. If they have standing, they can, to me, that would be your easiest move instead of months of,
But that, correct me if I'm wrong, that is questioning the rule that is in place.
Yeah, that's right.
And getting,
Yep.
that's not necessarily solving the issue.
It's not proactively making a change to address the issue.
No, it's just getting the
but
answer
then
to
you
it.
make the change based on the zoning hearing board's decision. You're, like you said, you're challenging the validity of the ordinance.
I get
So the
that.
zoning hearing board comes back with their written decision, and like any other, you make those changes per what they, and they can continue those hearings, but it's just, to me, that would be your easiest move than trying to make yourself crazy.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. We'll make some decisions. Anybody else? Meeting adjourned.
Just find it.
I'll take my back anyway.
The roughness and plumbing.
I,
Want this?